Understand that e-navigation is a non-stopping process. For the consolidation of this concept, we envisage a near future, an improved capability and integration of nautical documents, updates, and maritime safety information with onboard systems. But it is fundamental to consider change in the present format defined by the Worldwide Navigation Service. Due to the predicted data format requirements, a global consensus needs to be found among the service providers, namely for the navigational warning format. One foreseen application is the possibility of the pilot receiving an alert regarding, for instance, for a new buoy directly into the ECDIS and representing it over the ANC as a feature in its correct position, with correct representation of the buoy characteristic, or as a means to put the master of the ship back into the loop. The possibility to send hydrographic format reports using the ECDIS and binary IAS message for the reporting of uncharted dangers, aid to navigation anomaly or performance, which, once received by ANAVNet, are automatically forwarded to the Lighthouse Authority. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Victor. Our last speaker is Dr. Lee Alexander. He's a research associate professor. That's why I saved him for last. Professor have him up last. At the Center for Coastal and Ocean Mapping at the University of New Hampshire. Retired U.S. Navy captain. He has been a research scientist for the U.S. Coast Guard and the Canadian Hydrographic Service. Lee is chair of the new ENAV Committee Working Group on Information Portrayal. His presentation is on maritime information systems as a component of e-navigation. Lee?
Thank you, Bill. It's very nice to be here at the IALA conference. There's an advantage and a disadvantage of being one of the speakers towards the end of the program. The advantage is I can perhaps respond and add to some of the points or topics that my other presenters have provided either in this session or previous sessions. The disadvantage is that what I had planned to say has basically been already said by others. As such, I'm not going to dwell on what it is my original presentation contained. You've heard it all before. But I will add that as a university professor, there will be a quiz at the end of this presentation. For those of you that laugh and think I'm kidding, there will be a quiz, and if you fail the quiz, you will not be permitted to go on break. So listen intently. Just kidding. We've all seen the definition of e-navigation. I'm not going to go through it again in great detail, but this is where the maritime information is specifically mentioned in this. And of course the E, which has made an evolution from being electronic maybe to enhance. But to say that we don't know what the E means that we still haven't really defined e-navigation. On the other hand, we know that there are some expected significant outcomes and benefits to shipboard navigation systems, to the management of ETS, and as it evolves to BTM and the necessary related services, as well as a new, improved, more capable communications infrastructure. For shipboard systems, I'm not going to go through all of this, but there are certain aspects in terms of integrating with own ship sensors that can be done better. And some of the supporting information, standard user interface, and different systems for better managing guard zones and alerts need significant improvement. On the other hand, some of the core elements include things we've been talking about all week, like Global Navigation Satellite System, the use of electronic navigational charts and ECDIS, and of course the ability to reduce human error. I would say though that the management of vessel traffic and related services from ashore is of interest, if not concern, on the point of some mariners in terms of what will be the implications of e-navigation for those of us who either were or still are mariners. Certainly we would like to see better provision, coordination, and exchange of comprehensive information in digital formats that are easily utilized and understood. We'd also like to see a communications infrastructure that enables seamless transfer of information. And these are words that IMO has developed that need to be addressed, between the ships, between the shore, and between, of course, shore authorities. Now, all of these sound good, and you will see that the desirable outcomes actually represent major challenges. And in pink or in purple, whatever you want to call that color, are two statements that are basically unattainable. Ensuring the availability of all components and using them effectively, that's like asking for world peace without defining how we're going to get there. Incorporate new technologies in a structured manner. Of course, this is a reasonable goal, but it's extremely difficult to achieve. Because some of the realities are integrating more components into a system makes the system more complex, leads to increased complexity and less reliability. To say otherwise means we are, again, viewing the world through rose-colored glasses. With increasing amounts of information, the tendency will be to display more and more. And like Captain Jean-Luc Godard of the Port of Montreal in Canada, he says, I do not want more information, I want better information. So more is not necessarily better. And just because someone ashore has decided this is information that you as a mariner need to see, doesn't necessarily make it useful or something that you need for the current situation or task at hand. And also, and John Murray of ICS and I talked about this at breakfast this morning, integrating any new technologies with existing shipboard systems and services initially will cause more problems than it will solve. Now, we've seen some innovative suggestions, but there are also challenges. And that's what the initial job of the Marine Information System Task Group was, is what are the user requirements that ought to drive what navigation systems and services should be. And let's be realistic about it. That includes both shipborne and shore-based, but it cannot be everything. One extreme would be relatively few systems will actually become e-navigation related systems. The other extreme is that it's everything. Neither one is realistic. We need something in the middle. On the other hand, if there's going to be harmonization between shipboard and shore-based, we need to look at two perspectives simultaneously. And in doing so, we need to look at some of the presentation or display issues. And Arthur Baranowski from Sprint in Poland, he had a good question. He says, what does portrayal mean? Well, portrayal means these are examples of how it could or should be done, but it doesn't necessarily restrict any further innovation or any ability to say there's a better way in which something should be done. So reviewing existing shipboard equipment and system standards is the necessary first step. But then we have to recognize there will be challenges as well as opportunities to reconcile the differences between different systems. And to do so, perhaps there needs to be a development of guiding principle, not specific standards. There is another challenge, though. IMO says they want this to be user-driven. I believe about 95% of the people here at this conference are providers. So the users then, these are the people who will actually use them, but let's be realistic. Those who are actually responsible for providing the necessary e-navigation services are the providers. Now, this doesn't mean that there are good guys and bad guys, but it does mean there are different perspectives in terms of thinking and how this will be